In just 5 days, the federal government will shut down if Congress does not pass a funding bill. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Rena Sarjanopoulos.
And I'm Chris Harapsky. Today, with the clock ticking, U.S. Senator Tina Smith said her party won't vote for any bill that doesn't include changes to health care. Danny Spiewak joins us live from the state capitol with the very latest. Danny.
Well, Senator Smith was in her home state of Minnesota here at the state capitol today, rallying on the steps of the Capitol with community and faith leaders. She was very clear in her demands. She says she's not going to vote for any temporary funding bill at the federal level that does not include concessions from Republicans on health care. But the GOP is also not budging.
My question for our Congress people is, what are you going to do?
With the federal government on the brink of a shutdown next week,
I will not be intimidated.
U.S. Senator Tina Smith stood alongside the faith group Isaiah, which supports progressive causes, with a message for congressional Republicans.
We are ready to work with them to negotiate on a path forward that actually does something to improve health care.
Although Republicans control Congress and the White House, they need Democratic votes in the Senate to pass a government funding bill because of filibuster rules. Right now, the Democrats are holding out unless Republicans agree to provisions such as reversing changes made to Medicaid and extending Affordable Care Act tax credits that expire at the end of the year.
This is a point where we feel like we have some power to get them to come to the table.
Senate Majority Leader John Thune says Republicans are open to discussing the health care tax credit extension, but separately, only after passing a funding bill to avert a shutdown.
I think everybody's willing to have that conversation, but you shouldn't hijack a bill that will keep the government open in order to do a lot of extraneous things.
The House already passed a short-term funding bill, but unlike the Senate, Democrats can't filibuster there.
The Democrats' requests are completely unhinged and unreasonable and unserious.
If the government shuts down, the Trump administration told federal agencies to prepare for widespread layoffs.
I think it's important now that we stand up to this. Bullies will continue to bully you until you finally say enough. So I am not going to be intimidated by these tactics.
You may be wondering why Senator Smith is here at the Minnesota State Capitol rather than the U.S. Capitol in Washington. But that's because lawmakers are on a break this week. They will return to Washington on Monday. It'll give them a couple of days to negotiate to see if they can avert a government shutdown that would start on October 1st. Back to you.
Danny, with just a couple of days, this doesn't seem to bode well. One of these sides is going to have to back down. Who do you think it's going to be?
You know, the hard thing is there's a political calculus on both sides. They're currently both trying to blame each other for putting the federal government on the brink of a shutdown. It just comes down to, do Democrats think that the health care message is a winning one with voters, or do Republicans think that Democrats are going to have to back down because they'd be blamed for a shutdown? It's just a lot of complicated moving factors.
Indeed. Thanks, Danny.